There was a time when work sounded different. Offices hummed with human voices instead of servers. Factories relied on muscle memory rather than machine learning. Decisions were made slowly, imperfectly, and often emotionally. Nothing predicted the future instantly. Nothing answered back in milliseconds. This was the age before artificial intelligence entered the workplace. In this world, every task carried friction. Every calculation took time. Every mistake had to be discovered by a human eye. Productivity rose and fell with fatigue, mood, and experience. Knowledge lived in notebooks, filing cabinets, and memories that could fade or fail. Today, algorithms schedule our meetings, write our emails, analyze our data, and even help us think. But before all of this, before automation became invisible and omnipresent, there were people who worked entirely alone with their minds and hands. They are becoming rare now. They may be the last of their kind. This documentary explores the final generation of humans who worked without the challenges they faced, the systems they built, and the quiet adaptations that allowed them to function in a world with no digital intelligence to lean on. Life before the algorithm won. Time moved at a human pace before AI. Time itself felt slower. Reports took weeks. Research took months. Predictions were cautious and uncertain. Work expanded to fill the hours available. Not because people were inefficient, but because thinking takes time. Deadlines bent around human limits. 2. Memory was a skill, not a featured workers. Memorize phone numbers, procedures, and entire manuals. Mistakes weren't corrected by autos. They were remembered, written down, and slowly improved upon. Experience mattered deeply because nothing else remembered for you. 3. Decision-making was imperfect by design. There were no predictive models to test outcomes. Managers relied on intuition, past experience, and educated guesses. Some decisions failed. Others succeeded by chance. Uncertainty was accepted as normal. 4. Knowledge was local information, traveled slowly. What one factory learned might take years to reach another. Regional expertise. Entire industries developed unique methods simply because communication was limited. Global optimization did not exist. 5. Repetition trained the body assembly lines, depended on rhythm. Muscle memory replaced automation. Precision came from repetition, not recalibration. The human body adapted where machines had not yet arrived. 6. Errors were visible and costly. Without intelligent monitoring, small mistakes could grow large. Quality control depended on attention, not alerts. Entire teams existed just to check the work of others. Perfection was never assumed. 7. Training took years. Skill development was slow and deeply personal. Apprentices watched, masters' manuals were studied repeatedly. Learning was physical, mental, and social. There were no instant tutorials generated on demand. 8. Creativity was unassisted. Designers faced blank pages with no suggestions. Writers relied on drafts and revisions. Musicians experimented without algorithmic guidance. Originality emerged from struggle. 9. Fatigue defined output. Humans worked until they couldn't. Accuracy dropped with exhaustion. Breaks were essential. Productivity curves mirrored sleep patterns. Work was inseparable from the body. Geonavigation was mental, from delivery drivers to pilots. Navigation relied on maps and memory. Errors meant getting lost. Mastery meant knowing terrain instinctively. There was no recalculation, only correction. Human adaptations, surviving without intelligent systems. 11 checklists became external brains to compensate for memory limits. Humans created systems, lists, forms, procedures, redundancies. Paper became cognition's backup. 12. Hierarchies managed complexity. Work was divided not by algorithms, but by authority. Supervisors filtered information upward. Decisions flowed downward slowly. Organizations mirrored the limits of human processing. 13. Specialization was extreme because learning was slow. People focused narrowly. One person mastered one machine. One analyst handled one data. Breadth was sacrificed for depth. 14. Collaboration replaced computation. Problems were solved in rooms full of people. Discussion, disagreement, and consensus replaced simulations. Thinking was collective. 15. Intuition filled the gaps without data models. Gut feeling mattered. Experienced workers sensed problems before they appeared on paper. Instinct was respected. Juraka work cultures formed strong identities. Jobs were not interchangeable. A profession shaped speech, posture, habits, and pride. Work became identity. 17. Slowness encouraged reflection because change took time. People reflected more. Plans evolved gradually. Systems were understood deeply before being altered. Nothing updated overnight. 18. Failure was a teacher. Without automated correction, failure lingered. Mistakes were analyzed carefully because repeating them was expensive. Learning was painful but lasting. 19. Trust was human-centered. You trusted people, not systems. Reputation mattered. Reliability was personal. A name carried weight. 20. Meaning was found in effort when nothing was optimized automatically. Effort felt visible. Work was tiring, but tangible. Results were earned slowly. Progress felt human. The quiet end of an era today. This world is fading. AI systems now remember, predict, optimize, and decide. They remove friction, uncertainty, and delay. Work accelerates. Errors shrink. Output expands. But something else changes too. The last humans who worked without AI. Remember a time when thinking hurt, when patience was required, and when knowledge lived inside people rather than machines. Their world was inefficient but deeply embodied. They learned to survive within their limits. They built systems shaped by human weakness. They worked not alongside intelligence but alone with it. As AI becomes inseparable from labor, this generation stands at the edge of history. Not because they were better or worse, but because they experienced work at its most human, slow, imperfect, and entirely their own. They may be the last too. Remember what that felt like?